Okay, hi everyone. Let me first start off by saying that my name is Marv. I'm a 32-year-old who is a die-hard Newcastle fan. This is something that I've just wanted to do now for a few days, probably longer actually if I'm being honest. I'm not a streamer, I'm not a YouTuber, I'm just a fan that has got to the point where things have boiled over and fans like myself I think need a voice. There's a lot of hostility online, there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of unwarranted negativity that I think is wholly unfair. So what this is my little mini rant, I suppose, but a fair and sincere response to Steve Bruce, to the club. I'm not going to mention Mike Ashley much because, as we know, he is vile and needs to be out of the club as soon as possible. Those that say there's no guarantee when Mike Ashley leaves that it will get any better, the Saudis for example, to that I say, how can you even suggest that we can't even try? Our mindset would be we stick with Mike Ashley and it's definitely poor, or we bring in someone for the chance that it might not be poor. So let's get that one out the door straight away. But yeah, this is for Steve Bruce, this is for the club as a whole I suppose, to be fair and honest and equal to both sides, the fans and the club. As we saw, Lee Ryder, who is a well-known journalist, who is, I believe, good at his job, he is on the money a lot of the times, asked a pertinent question to Steve Bruce in the press conference regarding the team selection and the fact that he was away during the international break. Let me start the fairness side of it by saying that this is not a uncommon thing. Steve Bruce's reaction was awful. I don't defend that one bit. But him being away for a few days during the international break isn't a new thing. Managers do it. Let me say that I'm lucky enough that I work in sport and I understand how these training programs work. I understand how clubs run at a certain level, I suppose. And it's not uncommon for managers to not run training. It's not uncommon for managers to have days off even, or be away somewhere else while other coaches run it. They manage the game bit, they manage the tactical side of it. So Steve Bruce being away isn't something I have a problem with. I think that would have been in the schedule and worked out. I'm going to back the club and say that was something that could be planned for. And again, Jurgen Klopp said it, he went away. It's one of those things. I think also the attacks on Steve Bruce, to bring it as a round point, the attacks that are personal, the attacks that are, God forbid, racist, that are on his family, that are questioning everything about the man's integrity, which I suppose is a debate that we can have, they're not needed. They're silly. They're the fans that are angry, that are unnecessarily angry. Football is escapism. It should be there to enjoy. If you're not enjoying it and you're solely moaning, why do you watch it? What? I know people love it and it's in their hearts. My word, it's in my heart. This is why I'm doing the video. But if you only ever have negative, aggressive thoughts, especially to an individual and his family, why do you watch? Why? Those are unfair. Let's draw a line under that and say those are completely unfair. I believe that the transfer policy is not Steve Bruce's fault. Excuse me. I believe that he tried his utmost to bring in players. All this stuff that says he doesn't, we can neither confirm or deny that, but I believe he would have tried. He knows the squad needs 2 more players at least. Whether or not he was up by himself at 11 PM on the dot trying to bring loan deals in is, without the club's backing, is something that we can't say for sure, so I'm going to leave it at that. Do I believe he might have been? Maybe, who knows. I also believe he works hard. He's very poor at his job. Very poor. He's not a Premier League manager. He is not good enough at this level. But does he work hard? Yes. Those that say he doesn't, I believe he does. If I'm proven wrong, fair enough. That's where I come from. That's the only thing I can really say that would be fair to Steve Bruce. I've also said before in the past, I actually believe he's a nice bloke. Awful at his job, but a nice bloke. Now, let's bring it back to the purposes of this video being fair. Is he terrible as a manager? My word, yes. Are his tactical changes during games too late? Yes. Are they too minimal? Yes. Did he come out and say in the press conference about the international break that he had 6 players away, so, quote, what more could we do? Yes. Has he said in the past that if we have injured players, our top players, the Callum Wilsons, the Ryan Frasers, who's always injured, the Maximins, everyone, if they're injured, do we have a chance in games? No, we don't have a chance because we haven't got our top players. What he should have said was, we adapt, we change, we try different things, we try and bring different players into the side, we lift the other ones up rather than, sorry guys, you're not good enough because our top players aren't playing. That automatically tells the players, what are you playing for? It says to them there's no need for them to try because they shouldn't. There's no chance for them to play and win the games, or get anything out of the games, or develop or anything. It shows that you've not got the tactical nous to even be adaptable, or try and be adaptable. He's even admitted in his press conferences he's not a tactical manager. How ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is that? I think that when we look at how he puts his sides together and how he sets them up, the argument a lot of people make is too negative. Yes, I agree with that. But the other side of the coin is, we're set up to be defensive. We're going to be solid at the back. We're going to make sure that we're hard to beat. And if you look at the Man United game, for large periods we were. It was a Freddie Woodman unfortunate mistake that gifted Ronaldo that goal, and that gifted them the lease of life to go on and win the game. But 40 odd minutes, granted we didn't have much going forward, but we looked solid at the back for once. We actually had a good setup there. The whole thing about playing Isaac Hayden at centre-back, I'm not actually against that. What I'm against is, why are we not bringing in a centre midfielder to cover that if we're already short and we're moving the centre midfielder back to centre-back? Why has he got 3 centre-backs essentially on the bench when he could play 2 of them or 1 of them and move them centre? So there's things that are just outrageous. Murphy at wing-back. People love it now. He's quality there. Manquillo played well because he had Murphy ahead of him, who he's then trying to prove he's better than. So he has something to play for. That's how football works, how squads work. What I don't think gets said enough is that in terms of Graham Jones's insertion, it's clear as day to me that he was brought in because Steve Bruce knew his time was up at that particular moment in time, and he needed someone to help him do the training sessions, to run matches, and almost be like a voice to the players, because Steve Bruce isn't getting through to them one bit. His body language does not strike me as someone that is a leader. His tone of voice, everything he says pre-match and post-match is negative, is they need to, it's just not something that you would believe in as a player. His overall team selection is questionable, but I suppose fans that moan about it being negative need to look in the mirror a little bit, because if you're moaning about that setup versus what, say, a Rafa did, then you need to moan at it from the right angle. The narrative that fans from journalists and the mainstream media don't want a club that defends is not true. When Rafa was in the club, the reason we got behind him was, outside of all the defence of the fans from Mike Ashley, it was, we set up a structure that was hard to play against, hard to break down. This illusion that fans only want attacking football is a joke. We as fans know what our squad is, what we're capable of. We know that if we set up solid, but have a chance to go forwards, then we're fine with that. We were good under Rafa. We had moments where I know we finished lower and whatever. He was building a project and had no money, less money. He made a profit even on finances. But this narrative that we only want attacking football is nonsense. It's the idea that we have a chance to go forward and actually impact on games that gets lost under Steve Bruce. We solely defend. We have no chance of winning games, it's just defending. Which is, again, something that I just cannot get behind. Youth systems, training facilities, awful. Awful. The players we have that come good do so in spite of the stuff we have at the club. Our training facilities are awful. There's been no investment. So in fairness to Steve Bruce, the players he has coming through are fighting a battle already because their facilities are poor. When you have both Longstaffs, players that want to be at the club, players that are born and bred in the area, that are a lease of life to everyone whenever they're on the field, and you scapegoat one of them, and you barely play the other one, and you play Sean purely because he's still there, and you have no other options. How does that work? How do you, as a club, how do you lose? This is before Steve Bruce, but how do you lose Tony and Armstrong? How do you, in this instance now, let Traore and Longstaff and all the kids that are decent move on? How is Elliot Anderson not getting a look in? He's had injuries, yes, but again, someone that could be brought in with some energy, some fresh legs. A zest for playing football, which we haven't had, and we rely too much on Alan St Maximin for. Your system is based on, we are going to start defending, have 11 men behind the ball and pray that St Maximin can get the ball from A to B, box to box, by himself, and maybe find Callum Wilson. You bring in Dwight Gale's contract and say, well, no one wants him, we can't get rid of him, so we'll give him another 3-year deal, but I'm not going to play him. You need to have it both. You need to know, you need to be, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Helping it both ways. We as fans aren't stupid. The ones that are overly angry aren't helping the situation. That's why this is more of a calm, give it as a breakdown thing. Why do we go at Steve Bruce? Or the ones that are over the top go at Steve Bruce? Because he is awful with the media. He's awful with fans. The derision is amazing. It's almost impressive how unrelenting it is. What we have at the moment, to wrap this up, I know I've been waffling now for a little bit, but what we have now is a situation where fans aren't being listened to because all we get is we're awful fans, we're being out of order Steve Bruce, which some have. We want trophies. No, of course we do. But we want hope first. We want to actually have a chance of finishing top half first. We haven't got to be Leeds. We haven't got to be there attacking football non-stop and losing games because we can't defend. We want a balance. We had that under Rafa. We had a plan under Rafa. We want realistic expectations to be somewhere relevant, not just dwindling down and eventually becoming Sunderland. We don't want that. If anyone sees this in comments and agrees or disagrees, I'd love to hear it, because I want to get a dialogue going that's fair and honest and equal to both sides. The only problem with that is it's not equal, because what Steve Bruce and Mike Ashley are doing to this club is breaking it and losing the will of the fans, which is something I thought I'd never say in my lifetime. Newcastle fans are the most passionate, inclusive, I wouldn't even say upbeat, but they're the most passionate fans I can think of. They love their club. I love my club the same way. And yet, I'm sitting here making a video for the first time ever because I believe that, like myself, a lot of fans are losing the will to support this club while these guys are in charge. How does that happen? How do you lose the Newcastle United fan base? So I just thought I'd make this video. I mean, I've waffled on that a little bit, but it gets to me. And I believe as fans, it's probably getting to you as well. If you've sat through this last 10, 15 minutes, however long this video is, and listened to me waffle, then you're probably in the same boat I am. People can question my fandom. I've been a fan my whole life. And yet I'm sitting here worried for the club in the next... 5 years down the line, if we haven't got rid of Bruce by Christmas, 5 years down the line, we could be in League One, pushing for title in League One, because Ashley will still be there because he couldn't get the Saudis in, he couldn't get Staveley in. He doesn't care. Steve Bruce does care, but is incompetent, and he puts down fans, and he is poor to fans, and it isn't fair on us. So please give me your insights, give me your thoughts, and thank you for listening. It's been a long one.